Assalamu alaikum. क्या हाल है? كيف حالك? ما شاء الله. Okay, alhamdulillah. With that being said, my beloved brothers and sisters, oftentimes when we talk about ikhlas, it's kind of like our conversation on taqwa, where the definition of it becomes so ambiguous, it can feel impossible to actually embody it. But sincerity at its fundamental core is to think about Allah so much that you forget about the creation. You act so sincerely for the sake of Allah that what anyone else thinks, what anyone else does, it doesn't matter. We ask Allah to give us ikhlas and to accept it from Abu Hamdun al-Tayyib ibn Ismail al-Dhuhli, and to allow for us to push ourselves to the best of our capacity to act solely for the sake of Allah. We'll tell you a more anecdotal story. There was a brother, he was in a very, very terrible situation, and he just learned the story of Abdullah ibn Umar, where he tells us the hadith in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ talked about the 3 men trapped in the cave. But just to keep it brief, we won't go too deep into that story. Maybe we say it after Fajr. Come to Fajr, inshallah. Long story short, he heard the story where men who acted solely for the sake of Allah, they turned to Allah in their deepest, darkest hour, and they said, Allah, if you know that I did this just for you alone without partners, this moment, this action, accept it from me and make a way out of this difficult situation for me. And so when he heard that story and he saw how these 3 people trapped in a cave in an impossible situation, Prophet ﷺ said that Allah, through the sincerity of their actions, made a way out for them. He went down to this park in North Carolina called Moore Square. And at Moore Square, there's a lot of people who's addicted to like methamphetamine and crack cocaine and stuff like that. He went out there in the middle of the summer with bottled water that he sat in his refrigerator overnight. It just cost him $3 from like a Family Dollar, something like this. He goes out there and he doesn't tell anybody. I'll tell you how we found out about it. And he starts giving out water to the people. He starts giving out water to the people, and after he gives water to the people, he turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Allah, if you know that I gave that water to the people for your sake alone without partners, solely for the sake of Allah, then please, please make a way for me out of my difficult situation, circumstance. He was surprised that within a week, his whole situation had flipped. So he became addicted to looking for these moments where he would just do something solely for the sake of Allah and then turn to Allah. Allah, I know I did this just for you, so help me. He found time and time and time again that Allah would keep helping him through helping different situations, until one day he got the opportunity to go to a rehab clinic not far from Islamic Association of Raleigh. And when he went to the rehab clinic, you know, they try to encourage people to find religion when they're recovering from alcohol and drugs and stuff like this. And so he said, this is a wonderful opportunity. All they get is Christianity or some made up other thing. Why don't I just bring them Islam? So he goes there for a long time trying to call people to Islam. And only one brother who was addicted to methamphetamine actually said, you know what, I'll become Muslim. So he said his shahada. But the brother who was doing all these actions for the sake of Allah, he forgot about it. He forgot about it because he didn't think it was a big deal. The brother ended up leaving the rehab center. He never ever saw him again. But that brother that he gave da'wah to moved to Austin, Texas. And he gave da'wah to so many non-Muslims that dozens of them began to take their shahada. These white women were putting on full niqab and everything, full conversion. His da'wah was even getting drug dealers off the corners and stuff like this. And he had a friend who had traveled from North Carolina to visit him. This person who was strung out on methamphetamine, now all of a sudden, pious Muslim, da'i, well known in his community. That brother that came to visit him, he took his shahada. And when he came back to North Carolina, he ran into me, and then I took my shahada. And then I found myself in front of this uncle. At this point, he's very, very old. And he asked, how did you become Muslim? And I mentioned, well, this person gave me shahada, but this person gave him shahada. He just breaks down, he just starts crying. He didn't even think about it. He just went to the rehab center for the sake of Allah, just to give da'wah to somebody. One person said the shahada. That person ends up converted all these other people to Islam. And then I ended up becoming Muslim because of that. And this brother knew me for a while. He never asked me the shahada story, but when he told me, I was like, yeah, this person, from this person, an fulan, and this is how I got my shahada. And he saw me go from somebody who couldn't open a mushaf to memorizing Quran to being active in the da'wah in that community, like 4,000 shahadas, alhamdulillah, on an action that he did for the sake of Allah that he forgot about. So ikhlas, to do something for Allah to the point where you forget about the creation. Do an act of worship solely for the sake of Allah and forget about it. Let Allah remind you about it, either in this life or in the next. Deep contemplation on the Creator to the point where you forget the creation. It will be a way out for you in your difficulties, and inshallah, it will be a source of hasanat that you can't even fathom or calculate in your mind. We ask Allah to accept it from Him, we ask Allah to accept it from us, and we ask Allah to make us from the mukhlasin. Allahumma ameen. Jazakum Allahu khairan. We'll see you all at Fajr, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.